back to the Global Falcons podcast, where we interview entrepreneurs for storytelling to bring you the information needed to conquer your business. I'm Andrew L.G. Hunter.
And I'm Angela Hunter.
And we're gathered with Marilyn Black. Thank you for coming, and we're excited to have you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for having me here today. This is really exciting, being on a podcast.
I love that.
Yeah.
Enthusiasm.
Yes.
So let's get started with the questions. The first one is the same as everybody's. Who's Marilyn Black, and what do you do?
Thank you. So I know we're here to talk about entrepreneurship and the journey, but it really starts with my personal story. And with with indigenous people, that's what we do. We tell stories. Yeah. So my entrepreneurship. And you're going to cut all of this out where I start to...
It's okay. Yeah. And people like the raw and real because it makes you more authentic.
Yeah.
I'll cut some, but honestly, the more mishaps or whatever, the more people enjoy that, honestly. They like real people.
Oh, for sure. I kind of get rambling too. I can actually feel my children's eyes rolling at this moment as we speak.
That's okay.
So it starts back. I'm part of the 60 scoop policies. Wow. So I was apprehended from my mother at birth and placed into care until I was adopted out into a non-indigenous family, and that was here in the city. And I grew up without understanding my culture. And not only that, what was even worse was I had internalized the general mainstream biases and racist beliefs of the time. Mm-hmm. And when it wasn't until I got married, and I was a teacher for Saskatoon Public Schools. Wow. And school is really hard. It was hard for me. My story is it's similar to a lot of people who have been subjected to policies, residential schools, 60 SOUP, children in care, very similar, that they were separated from their family and their culture. So I was a teacher at Saskatoon Public Schools, and my children were grown. And finally, my daughter demanded to know her medical history, and that was in 2014. And so that's the only reason that I reached out and I met my birth mother. Wow. Luckily, she was still living. So she was in Winnipeg, and my husband and we drove down and met with her and my two half sisters. Mm-hmm. And people say, what was it like to meet your birth mother? And I say, everyone's experience is different, but it's not like, for me, it wasn't like a Disney story. It's awkward. It's like that first date. So, you like to travel? Like, what's your favorite? Because we hadn't made that connection, those bonds, due to these policies, right? That was by design. And she had lived a rough life as well, a hard life, I should say. But one thing that she did do was she kept the documents that I needed to get registered as a citizen through Métis Nation, Saskatchewan. Nice. So I got registered. My children, I've got an older daughter and my son, we all got registered. And then my daughter moved to, she says that she's a doctor, and she's practicing in Alberta, in Calgary, and she got registered through Métis Nation, Alberta. Nice. And so there I am. It's 2015. I took a year ed leave through teaching because they were offering them to finish off my master's. And during this year, not only did I finish my program, but I had some extra time. So I took some classes through it was then called the Native Studies. It's Indigenous Studies now, the college. But so then that's when I started honestly learning about the the history of this place. And I started going to it was called the Aboriginal Students Center at that time.
Mhm.
And that's where I first started to connect with culture, with Indigenous culture and Indigenous people, because I had always gone out of my way to avoid being associated or being around anything Indigenous. Because
Many people have.
yeah, oh for
Mhm.
sure, oh for sure, and particularly with Métis culture. There's many reasons, safety, and there's so many reasons why
Not being
people
accepted around
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
easier to say to not be associated. So that was my first. That was one of the first ways that I immersed into the culture, and it was very eye-opening. And
Mhm.
I found the people were so friendly and
Yeah.
gracious, and I've always felt this ever since then. Whenever I'm in an event or hanging out with my Indigenous friends, there's laughter. Everybody's so friendly,
Mhm.
and I did things like did the blanket ceremony for the first time there, and went for soup and bannock, and I remember the feeling before I walked into that space that I felt like so many, I felt like a fraud. I didn't belong because I was dispossessed. I never felt like I belonged in school, never made it through grade 10, had to go back for all my adult upgrading.
Mhm.
And then when
too.
you're in space, yeah, yeah, stay in school, kids.
Yeah, it's better
While
to
it's
do it.
free.
Yeah.
In fact, live at home with your parents as long as you can.
Definitely hard the other way.
Yes. So that really helped to help me on my journey. And then after I finished my year ed leave, I got placed at one of the schools in the city as a vice principal teacher librarian.
Oh.
And at that school, we had a historic partnership with Whitecap, Dakota.
Nice.
Because up to grade 5, they go to school at their home, but then grade 6 they would come into the city at that time, and they could choose one of our schools was their choice.
I didn't actually know that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and I loved it. The kids would come in, and they brought with them their own spirit, which I loved, and it was challenging, of course. And but I would do things like I got along with them well, and I went out to Whitecap for when they had social dances, and because you have to get out, you have to get into community, you have to sit with people, right? And so then it was I got transferred from that school, but before I left, there was one very important learning that I was gifted by a grade 6 student, and he's a student. He was just full of spirit, and one day he got mad at me, and he says, "Mrs. Black, you're racist." And I went, "Oh." And then right away he said, I'm sorry. And I said, no, never apologize for having a voice. And then I went home and reflected, and I thought, he's absolutely right. I was racist. And that was shocking for me. It was eye-opening, and then I thought to myself, okay, I recognize it now. I'm not going to let it continue to define me. I'm not going to feel bad about it because I'm a product of what the policies were meant to do.
Mhm.
And I was raised in a Western colonized way. I learned how to teach in a Western way. Like it's no surprise, right?
Mhm.
That I
Institutionalized.
taught in a white way. And so I then started my journey of unlearning, decolonizing myself. And I'm still on that journey because that was only 10 years ago in 2015. So I realized I am not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I quit teaching and I went over to Gabriel Dumont. And I thought I needed to work with the Métis people for the Métis people. And my community, my people are from Cumberland House. And in my family, there's Métis, well, just like many communities, there's Métis people and people who have gone to get their status. And again, by policy, you have to choose one or the other. And there's treaty in my background, but I felt connected to the Métis community here. And I'm part of Local 11. And they just, I identify as a Métis person.
You have a family now.
I do. And so when I was at Gabriel Dumont, I'm getting to the entrepreneurship now, people. Just bear with me. Bear with me.
Yeah.
You have
it.
It's nothing without the story. Like this is how this journey came to be, right? Yeah, I'm a teacher by trade, so I can talk all day without taking a breath or a break. And yeah, my students would tell you that. But so when I was at Gabriel Dumont, we had many different programs. I was a program coordinator. So one of my programs was the Saskatoon Adult Basic Education Program. So helping folks to get their grade 12. And many in their family, this was the first generation to get their grade 12. So for me, that was that was huge to think that, and to be part of their journey and their children coming up. And I had other programs as well around the province, but this one just really struck my heart, right? And so one day, the students and the staff, they said to me, the instructor said, we really want to know about ribbon skirts. This was in 2019. And I said, yeah, I really want to know more about. They were starting to become more prevalent. You started to see them more, not often, but in events and what you would see, whatnot, you would see them. And I'm like, yeah, we'll have to do a little bit of thinking about this, do some research. One of my other programs, I'll just take a quick sidebar here. One of my other programs was the Indigenous Birth Support Worker Program. And this was a program that was first of its kind in the province that we developed as a result of the cases of coerced tubal ligations by the Sask Health Authority, which is still happening, by the way, people.
Yeah.
And so
my mom's lucky to even be here.
Yeah. Yes, because due to policy, so many women were no longer able to have their babies in their home community. They'd have to leave their community, travel a great distance, often by themselves, and they'd be at their most vulnerable. And then all these horrendous things would happen, including having their tubes tied without their consent or knowledge.
For like these arbitrary reasons, right?
Well,
like I think the one was like, well, you're prone to like diabetes, so that's gonna mess up your kids. So we'll take care of that for you.
100%. 100%, right? And not only that, well, when these women were there, being subjected to whatever, because they were at their most vulnerable, there were things called birth alerts, which they're working on changing the policies and practices so they don't happen as often now. But a birth alert was when a brown woman came in by herself to have her baby, social services would be called. And they would swoop in, and that's what happened to my mother. And they'd, you can't, you can't raise a child,
Yeah.
and we know best. And then,
Believing all
yeah,
this crap.
and then apprehend their babies. And how traumatic would that be on the mother?
Yeah.
And that
They're
happened
very
to
persuasive
countless.
when they do it, right?
Or yeah, persuasive and very intimidating as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
forceful.
Well, it's its own teaching or schooling that those people are being taught to like say, right?
Yeah.
It's,
yeah. And it's that systemic belief that Indigenous people just, well, you know, all these racist beliefs, can't raise children, look, can't hold a job, alcohol, all of that. We'll just take a look around, all of that garbage that people would use to justify these type of policies and practices, which are still happening, by the way, which is why you need to vote. Anyway.
100%.
Yes, we'll get to that. And so this program, we had nine people, half are Métis, half are First Nations. We brought in an elder, a traditional elder, they had doula training, and they immersed in ceremonies, and they built cradle boards and moss bags and water ceremonies, and learned how to advocate for the women who were in the hospital, advocate for them and their babies, because the women that are there, they don't have a voice often. So that's what these women, and it was women that we focused on at that time, just women, to be there to support those. And so I was really proud. That was another program that I was really proud about. And the graduation was at the end of the course, and my father was dying at the same time. And I said, I can't go to the graduation ceremony. I have to be with Dad. And my husband says, go, your students need you there. I will be with your dad. Don't just go. You need to go. And I'm like, okay, I will go. So I went, and I wish I would have brought it actually. That was when I was gifted my first ribbon skirt.
Oh, nice.
Each student, one student did the sewing, but each student picked out their own ribbon color. So it was very meaningful. Wow. And there were the 9 rows on it, and they picked the fabric. So it was blue. It looked like a really nice Métis blue. And they gifted it to me. And then we hugged, and then I had their prayers. And then Dad died right away. And I had this skirt, and I wore it to the funeral. And it's like the skirt, it's the shape of a teepee. And women are the fire keepers. Right, they're the keepers of the home, and the families.
The shape to me at the Indigenous business.
Yes, that's right. And the ribbons are the hugs, and I wore it, and I felt the strength of the women, and it was that skirt that had me realize it's not just a skirt, it's not just sewing. This is this is a sacred item, and it's a symbol of our culture. And the sewing, the actual sewing part, is medicine. It's healing. And I was like, wow, okay. So then that program ended. Then another program ended. I had it was our early education program that was up in Alacross. And again, they gifted me another ribbon skirt, and I'm like, these skirts are coming to me. They're like, but they're all so meaningful, as they are, and they're personal. And so then I said, okay, well, we've got to get to know this deeper, in a much deeper way. So we reached out to a local skirt maker, Tala Tatusis, and she came in and she gave us, she's so beautiful inside and out, beautiful soul. And she explained about her ribbon skirt understandings, and how she makes a ribbon skirt. And we went, okay, well, you know, we've done some research, and we've asked community members, and then we asked about the colors, because we wanted to make sure if we're going to make these, we want to make sure we're doing it in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talked with First Nations community women, Métis, and so I'd ask, what about the color teachings of the different ribbons? Is there specific ones? We want to make sure we're following protocol. And in some communities, there are specific color teachings. And I'm like, okay. But then it was one of our, my local 11, one of our knowledge keepers there. I talked with her and she went, "Oh, we're Métis. We wear what we like to wear. Just the colors that speak to us that we like, that's what we wear, and we like to look good." And I went, okay, that speaks to me. So when people ask me about colors, I say, always, if you're from a community that has specific teachings, talk with an elder, talk with your community members. Make sure that you're learning and you're doing it in a good way, because this is just my journey. I won't tell them and say, okay, this is how it is, but this is just what I've learned, what I've been taught.
Well, it brings the artistic touch to it, right?
Yes.
When you actually have a feeling about a certain color and then you piece it together, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and if they all speak to you and they remind you, they evoke memories and emotions, and yeah. So I said, okay, so I collaborated with one of the directors from Gabriel Dumont Publishing, and we purchased a class set of sewing machines.
Yes.
And we went out, bought material. All the students picked their material, their ribbons. And for the people who, not everybody wears the skirt. So for those who didn't, they made their own ribbon shirt or a vest. And that's really important for folks who are two-spirited, because not everybody wears a skirt. So I've had folks reach out to me for shirts and pants. Yes, and that's that inclusiveness part, right? Or shawl you could even do, right?
That's brilliant.
Yeah, shawl or a blanket.
Yeah.
Like there's always a way that everybody can be included. Because, in Indigenous community, we include everybody, right? And so we got down and we spread the material out, and there was laughter. We go down into the big classrooms and we're on the floor with our, we're figuring it out together and helping each other and helping comment on how beautiful everything was coming along. It was that camaraderie and that being able to do it together. And when you think about this, it wasn't that long ago. Due to policy, Indigenous people could not gather in a group.
Yeah.
We could not have done this that long ago. It was against the law, right? And it just like it was against the law to wear cultural items.
Right.
So that was our act of reconciliation. We are doing it together. And yeah, so we all finished our items, and I keep my first skirt because I was so proud of it. I finished it myself. I look at it now and it's very tragic, but I love it. Yes, and I keep it. Yes, and the students, but what really hit me right here was the students. The feedback was that was the highlight for them of their program.
Aww.
Yeah, and some students put beading on their skirts or their shirts, and they wore it to their graduation. And some even went to, they eventually started making their own graduation stoles and all of those things. And so I went, okay, it's not just me, like this is really special. And but then I realized again, I love what I'm doing, but I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And the age that I am, for me, getting older has been very liberating. And so I thought, I am going to surrender, and I know that Creator will put me where I am meant to be.
100%.
I people are like, you quit teaching? You're going to quit working at Global Dumont? And I'm like, yep. Just I will be where I'm meant to be. Yeah. I'm not gonna. I don't worry about things anymore, right?
Love that.
Yeah, I don't. And so what I start my day with a smudge, and I reflect and spend time with myself and with Creator, and I just I'm doing what I'm meant to do.
You have this aura about you.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons I wanted you on.
Oh,
I'm serious. I could sense your aura.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's the message I try and pass on as well. So then I thought, okay, I know there's something else, and I felt campus calling. So a job posting came open at Johnson Shoyama Graduate School of Public Policy. And I thought, okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to apply. So I got called in for an interview, and I said, okay, full disclosure, I've never worked in post-secondary. I didn't grow up with culture, and I know nothing about policy. And they hired me anyway.
Well, you're an excellent salesperson.
When I got hired, my friends, I told them what I did. I'm the Student Indigenous Recruitment and Initiatives Coordinator at the Johnson Shoyama Graduate School of Public Policy.
That's a mouthful.
Right? And so my friends would say, okay, so what do you do? And I'd say, I don't know. I don't know. It's a newly created position. I'm tasked with increasing the number of Indigenous students, but also to help lead the reconciliation happening at both schools, because we're spread across 2 campuses, USask and U Regina. And making sure that if we're bringing more Indigenous students, how are we making sure that they are supported, they feel like they belong, and they can see themselves in the school, the curriculum, in every aspect. That's what I say. Where's the voice? Where's the choice? Where's the Indigenous lens on this? So, and again, it's like, I love my job. I don't know. It's all talking is what I do. So,
well, you're very good at it.
Thank you. And so I got hired on there, and I'm getting to my business, folks. We're getting there.
It's already you've already talked about a lot. I'm enjoying the conversation.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. So when I first got hired on, I'm like, okay, well, how am I? When you're doing work, transformative work, where you want people to do things like increase Indigenous content into their program or into their assessments or style or those things, you have to engage people. You have to bring them in. Because we all know saying, oh, you got to do this, and you have to add 20% of this. It doesn't work.
Nobody likes hearing that.
No.
Mentally, they're like, they just shut down, right?
They'll do it, check a box, and be done. Yeah. But so I knew that for this work, it's all based on relationships. So, and that's the role of the critical ally. Because when for reconciliation to happen, when we're talking about changing systems, it can't be done by the Indigenous people on their shoulders alone. It can't. The critical allies, they play such an important role. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to have a ribbon skirt workshop. That's how I'll bring people in, and I'll share my story, and we'll do it together, and we'll do it like over at Gabriel Dumont. And it was just a great way to start there. And I'm like, okay, this was a huge success. People yeah, it was a great way for us to bond, to get to know each other. And so then the next step was to bring in, I am not the be all and end all. I fully admit, not growing up in the culture, I depend on others to provide those pieces.
So way to learn and grow.
Yeah. So bringing in elders and bring them in and engaging elders. Let's sit down with an elder. So that's constantly what we do. We have events where we'll have, for example, we had a whole school event last November, and everybody from Saskatoon, we went down to Regina, and Cadmus DeLorme, former chief of Cowes First Nations, he is one of our alumni. So he gave a keynote, and and those type of things are engaging more and more people. More and more people are working on their own. For example, and I see this now because we're at the point now when I'm teaching, when I was a teacher, it was always the I do, we do, you do that I would follow. And I'd be the one to organize events and get people to and then we would do it together. But now I'm seeing more people do it on their own, bringing people into their classrooms, having a book club. A staff member had a book club where she had different Indigenous books by like Michelle Good, Five Little Indians. She organized that. It wasn't me. The Diefenbaker Canada Centre, the exhibits, bringing in elders, traditional medicines, they're doing that. I worked to help talk through it and worked as a consultant, but I wasn't responsible for it. So I could go, this work is happening. And
more people feel empowered.
Yes. Yes. And they're doing it. It's happening around me, because that's always the biggest thing is it can't depend on one person, because if the person's gone, is it just going to end?
That's right.
And it's about building capacity. And I see that, but it has taken time as everything takes time.
Everything good.
I know, which doesn't always fit in with anyway, it's
most millennials want everything right now.
Yes, and when you're like results-based accountability and stuff, you got to have the outcomes met. But anyway, it all takes time. So then I started making more and more skirts on my own, because I just love it. And sitting down in front of a sewing machine, I learned right away that you can't be thinking about something else. You can't be in a negative mindset, because whatever. And then I've had people tell me, community members say to me, indigenous artisans, they say, whatever you are working on, whether it's beading or sewing, you put a little piece of yourself into it. And you can't so I make sure I don't put any negative energy when I'm making my whatever I happen to be making. So you have to leave that behind. When I sit down at the sewing machine, it's like, okay, it helps me to disconnect from the day, just to stop dwelling on things. And it's a form of meditation. Yeah, and that's that healing part. Not only has it helped me to heal in a lot of ways, but it's also helped me to connect with people from all over. And here we are. We're at this point now. We're at the point of the entrepreneur story.
I wonder if I was just thinking, why is that so? Why is it like a meditation? Do you think the sound of the needle going down is kind of similar to what are those triangle things for
going,
music?
like goes back and forth.
The metronomes.
That
people used it.
I wonder if it's similar to that, and it kind of invokes some kind of trance.
It very well could be. Yeah, it's that yeah, and I know beading. I've taken workshops before because I'm part of the Indigenous Advisory Circle on campus, and we had a beading, a healing through beading workshop, and very much the same thing that you have to concentrate. You can't be all worked up or negative, and it's that repetitive, that focus, yeah, that helps. So I love it actually. It's my passion. So
I did cut you off, and I'm sorry.
oh no, please. So then I started making more and more skirts and buying more and more fabric, which is very addictive, by the way. And then my husband says, "You've got a lot of skirts." And I'm like, "I know." And so very soon after, people started saying, like, "Would you make me a skirt?" "Sure." "Would you make me a skirt?" "Sure." And then I had people reaching out through acquaintances and friends, and they asked, would you be willing to make me a skirt? Yeah. And I'll purchase one. And I went, "Purchase? Okay." And then it was a bit of a I had a little bit of conflict, if you will, at the start, thinking, should I be selling these? It is a sacred item. Like, should I be making money off this? And then I thought, I am actually. And the reason that I am is historically, Métis people, we are entrepreneurs, always have been. And I'm able to help people access culture. And many people want a skirt, but they just don't have the capacity to make it themselves, or just whatever. So I help people to wear the skirt, and with pride, and we'll design it together, and then when they pick it up or when I mail it to them, they'll say, "It's exactly how it was in my head. I'm going to wear it on my graduation or wedding or whatever." And I'm like, well, that just makes me feel so great. And
it's like a little piece of you too is like living on through many other people, because you kept your first skirt for like ever, and you'll probably have it for many years to come. So all of these other will do the same.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Like a little piece of you is just everywhere.
And I love it. And I love it that people are reaching out for these skirts. And I think what's really important for me is that when I was growing up, I did everything I could to appear to be as white as possible. And like, I'm very visibly indigenous, right? And
at some points you even like said you were a different, like from a different country too, eh?
I wish, but I look so, like I have such a Cree look, right? Yeah. And people would say, like, if I could have spent any amount of money on Brown Be Gone, I would have. No, and it's true.
A beautiful tone. It's a beautiful tone.
I love my skin now. I made myself a brown ribbon skirt with different brown tones because I love it. I celebrate my skin now. But back then I had the blonde hair and people would say, are you Native? Are you and I'd be like, I don't know. And I think that was a lot of the reason why I never looked to find my biological parents, because then if I did find them, it would confirm. Then I'd have to say, yes, I am. And I didn't. It was easier for me to say, I don't know, rather than yes. Sad, right?
I went to a fine art school and I had to hide who I was all the time.
So it is. And so when I see women or men, two-spirit folks, and they're wearing their culture with pride, that just, I can't explain how important that is. So now I wear my skirts when I want to. I don't always, but when I want, I will wear whatever I want. Nobody will tell me what I can or can't wear, right? And so I want other people to wear these items and wear them with pride and have people.
Where do you get this part here?
Oh, isn't it great?
It's
very
It's
nice.
tough for people to see, but
Oh.
it's got the Métis. Yeah,
Yes.
there you can see that.
Yes.
That is beautiful.
Yes.
That's
Very
clearly
nice.
its own thing.
It is ribbon. Yeah, so I got this from Edmonton. I ordered it in. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, so now you should see my collection. Oh, I know. Yeah. And so I decided, okay, well, I want to buy more fabric because there's so much great indigenous fabric out there. Well, and regular stuff too. But so I thought, I'm going to start selling them online. I'm going to see if I can do this.
Mhm.
And I reached out to, I thought, I can do my own website, right?
Those are tough.
Oh
so
my
tough.
God.
Those are tough.
They're so hard. And I tried setting it up and I had no idea what I was doing. And then my niece has a children's clothing online store. And she goes, oh, Auntie, just open up an Etsy account. And sell through Etsy. It's super simple. And it has been super simple. And so I started, I remember the first sale that I did. I thought, oh, this is so exciting. Ah! Yeah, so I made my skirt, which, and it was wonderful. And I remember the first sale, it was like, oh, it was such a celebration, and mailed it away. And then this person reached out and said, would I make a matching set for the mother and the daughter? And I'm like,
nice.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And this is all while I was working full time too.
Impressive.
Well, my children are grown and gone, so I had lots of time on my hand. Yes, this and our two cats, our two COVID kitties that hubby and I got. And so then I could buy more material, and then I started making more and refining how you get more efficient.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I don't want to resale. Like whatever I sell, I want people to know that I've made every stitch. Everything has been done by an indigenous person, which is very important. And so then Etsy, I started selling all across Canada.
Beautiful.
And it was awesome. And then somebody said, well, why? Actually, it was the lady at the post office said, why don't you start shipping to the States? And I said, oh, I'm so scared. I don't know how to do it. And she goes, I'll show you this one time and then you can do it super simple. So I'm like, okay. And so now my sales, I sell through Etsy all over North America, as far as, up in Alaska, right down to like Texas and Louisiana, Florida, East Coast, right to West Coast, and everywhere in between. And
just like Kristen McDougall, she does that too.
Oh, she does.
Yeah,
hey.
she makes these.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
the
was
beading.
noticing.
Yeah.
I've seen those.
Yeah,
They're beautiful.
Work.
Yeah.
I have the heart of a beater, but the hands and eyes of an old lady.
You have a nice niche here.
Yeah.
I can do this. I can't do this, even though I really want to. So I support beaders. So I buy my beadwork. And sometimes we even do trades. A skirt for,
I like trades. You know, I think, man, it was such an easier economy when things were based on trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? Now
100%.
It's a little more complicated now, but at the same time, I guess it's easy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, a skirt for earring and necklace set. It's like, oh, I would do that anytime. But
that's very exciting that you spread out so far. How long has that been going on?
20. It's been two years now.
Oh wow!
Awesome.
So only 2 years. Yeah.
It's pretty profitable.
Yes.
Yeah,
it has been. Yes, I have
you don't
to
have to
say.
tell me the numbers, but
yes,
because you're not going hungry from it.
No,
that's good.
No, it's been great. It's enabled me to feed my material hoarding
Every artisan has so much extra material.
Oh,
yeah.
Even like me, I do homes. I have a backyard filled with like materials that I just refuse to get rid of. I'm like,
So much
I'm
wood.
gonna probably use that somewhere. I need it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I need every ribbon color. So I've got every ribbon color, like different sizes. I have it all set up. And then I thought to myself, okay, so the making and shipping, that's great. But my girlfriend and I, she's actually the one who taught me how to sew. I met her at Gabriel Dumont. She is a Métis gal through Batoche, Amanda Fisher-Laframbois. And she, so I would go over to her house and bring my son with me, and my son would tutor her girls in math, and she'd teach me how to sew, like the Métis way, right?
Yeah, perfect.
And then the kids would laugh after and say, "Oh yeah, we'd listen to you two in the kitchen gossiping."
Yeah.
I'm like, "It's what we do."
Yeah.
And so anyway, she and I were still besties, and I said to her, "Would you like to do a workshop? Would you?" Because I've had people reach out and ask if I would do it, and I'm like, "Okay, I'll give it a try." So she and I, we set up our basement because we've got no kids now at home. So we've got stations for 10 people.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, full machines, workstations, work
Little sweatshop,
tables,
eh?
got a little sweatshop going in the basement.
No, that's awesome.
It is, and the reason it's great because people are making their own skirt, which is empowering. We're doing it together with the goal after that they have this amazing item that they made. They did every stitch themselves.
That's so smart.
Yes, and I don't have to make 10 skirts.
Yeah.
That's so smart.
And
it's just like these hate nights that are going around, right?
Oh,
That's
yes.
so smart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Love that. That's
And we
super innovative.
find it takes 5 hours, honestly. And we have it structured. So, yeah, for people who have never even touched a sewing machine. So we teach the basic ribbon skirt method.
Wow.
And we even had people, fellas, Two-Spirit, one fella that came had never ironed before. He made a ribbon shirt.
Oh, wow.
That he was so happy with. So in our workshops we teach ribbon skirts and ribbon shirts.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we've done workshops we've done lots for College of Med, Edwards Business. Just I haven't had to advertise. Just people reach out. Yeah, and it's a great team building event. It's a great reconciliation event. I had a group of young students. They are part of the ACES, if you're familiar, indigenous science, and they went to a conference in Toronto. So we had a workshop because they wanted to make themselves new skirts just to get all fired up and ready to go to the conference.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So it's awesome.
Do you do teen workshops too?
Teen?
Yeah.
I could do teen workshops.
Yeah, I was just thinking
100%.
my daughter would absolutely love to do that.
So artsy.
Yeah.
And we teach like the basics of machine safety. Nobody has sewn their finger yet, except for me.
Yeah.
Tiny,
they can do it. Kids can do it. Yeah, 100%. Oh,
they
yeah.
used to teach that in, like, I went to Scion Middle School. That was an indigenous school, but they actually tore it down. There was some not great things that happened there, but they used to teach sewing there every Tuesday. I really enjoyed it, so I can see why it's addicting.
Oh yeah. And I never sew because I was in, even when I went through elementary school, I took industrial arts. I didn't take home ec. So, but as soon as I sat down in front of the machine, I went, this is it. This is one of my missing pieces. And so we've got Amanda and I, we have another workshop coming up on Wednesday because so many folks work. So we often will do workshops either in the evening or on the weekend.
Nice.
Whatever whatever works for them. And so I really enjoy those.
Mhm.
And
It's so smart that it's just like these paint nights. I just can't keep. I just
Yeah.
can't get this out of my head. I'm like, this is. How did you come up with this?
well, I saw a couple people online doing workshops,
Yeah.
and the idea of doing a workshop just seemed huge. Even though I did one at work, I really had no idea what I was doing. Like I had no idea. But
One
now,
foot forward, right?
yeah, but now that I've got Amanda as my partner, she's got a brilliant way of teaching a basic skirt that everybody can do.
Mhm.
That we've refined it, and we're just like a well-oiled machine
I
now.
love
Wow.
that.
And so people come over to my house, and lunch or supper is included.
Oh, wow.
And so there's always the cultural piece. So people, for example, this Wednesday, people will come over right after work, and we'll greet them. And then the first thing they'll do is get settled in front of their sewing machines, and that's their workstation. And then they go up to the fabric room and they pick out their own fabric. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Because I know other makers, when they do workshops, they'll have kits, and then people choose their kits. But and that's great. But I think it's really meaningful for people. You have to hold the fabric.
Mhm.
You have to shake it out. You have to hold it up against you, and eventually you find the one that speaks to you.
Yeah.
And then they pick out their ribbons, and again they say, "Well, what looks good?" And I'm like,
What speaks to you?
personal. What does it remind you of? The colors? Does it remind you of your children, or do you just like it? Or
I like
yes,
that.
So they pick
where
out
do
their
people
ribbons.
where can people see, like, when you update, like, hey, we're gonna do this workshop on this day? Like, how do people find that?
Oh,
information?
well, they don't, because I don't
You
advertise.
should.
I
think you would do like clockwork.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I know. But it's a catch-22 thing, because I'm working
Yeah,
full
you do all the
time.
time, right? Yeah, that's right.
I
Yeah.
know, but I know the day that I decide to pull the pin and retire, like, I will jump in full time. I
Yeah.
will.
That's probably what, 30, 40 years from now?
At least. But they pick out their own, and then we get everybody started, and then we go, okay, stop. There's never a good place to stop, but we're going to stop and eat, because that's an important cultural piece, is
Mhm.
the sitting down and sharing a meal, sharing stories. That's an important part. So that's what we do, is we then will, over the meal, which is often pizza,
Mhm.
we have, I started making soup and bannock for these, and I'm
That
like,
takes
this
a
is
long
way
time.
too much work.
Yeah, it takes a long time. It's great, but that takes
Yeah.
a really long time.
No. So we got to keep it simple, and then we everybody has a chance to share, and that's
Okay.
important as well. That everybody shares. Everybody has a voice. Share what they want to share, or don't share if they want.
That's what this is
Everybody
about.
has.
Yep.
Everybody has and we have found everybody does, because we create a safe, welcoming space, and everybody is happy to share their story. And then after that is when we will smudge. And that's one thing that I did at work, was I said to the elders, I am Métis, but our origin is also has the First Nation influences as well.
Mhm.
So on my journey, I've gone to Sweat Lodge, I've lifted the pipe, I've go to powwows. I don't wear regalia because I am not First Nations. I'm Métis, but I go to powwow. I will dance the tribal. I love all those pieces. I smudge. And I know it's a bit contentious, because some Métis people are very staunch. They say Métis people don't smudge, to keep it very separate.
Mm.
But for me, and my mentor is Court Donier and Leah Dorian, and they smudge. So
I've smudged at sweat lodges.
Yep.
I think those are very healing and spiritual. I think everybody should do it. I don't even think it should just be indigenous people. I think there should be like everybody should do that because it changes you.
It is. It is. It's hard to explain, but it's like in our DNA, and it's that important part of our identity. So the message that I pass on to people is, you're on your own journey to figuring your piece out. So don't let people say, "Oh, Métis people don't smudge." Métis people smudge. I smudge. And
if you're Métis and there's something you do, Métis people then do it.
Yes, yeah, we do
it's
it.
Really that simple.
I know. Métis people wear ribbon skirts, like. So that's I said there. We've had enough shame, and so I said, you just do what you need to do and be proud of it, because we've had too much of society trying to take us apart and pit us against each other. So no more of that. So we have a smudge, and we use the sage that I harvested. I've got still some. Okay, so these I've got a medicine bag for you and your wife there, lovely wife.
Yeah.
And inside there is is some sage, and this sage has been harvested in a good way with my elder.
Awesome.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you so much.
And you can smell it. Like pick it up and smell it. Like and it's
that.
medicine, right?
It's
for however you need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that sage has been prayed down. We put down tobacco. We offered the prayers. We followed protocol, so it's been harvested in a good way. Unlike if you purchase it right at a store.
That's so nice of you.
Thank you.
I think we should start giving out gifts to people.
Thank
This is very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Card.
And yes, the card will be in the link provided after.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah. And with the sage, I remember one day when I was, it is powerful medicine. It is. I know it in my heart. I remember I was vice principal, and I was having, it was a day, and I was walking down the hallway, and my girlfriend walked down. She's a consultant downtown, and she says, "How are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, since you asked." Blah, 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 blah. And she goes, "Oh," so she reaches into her pocket, into her blazer, and she pulls out a pouch. And she goes, "Oh, here, take it. It's medicine in it. It's got sage and cedar and blah, 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 blah in it." She goes, "Yeah, just keep it in your pocket, and it's for whenever you need it." So in my purse, I have a medicine bundle in my purse, in my car. Whenever I have an important meeting or I have to give a presentation, believe it or not, I get a little nervous public speaking.
Everyone does.
Yeah, and so I'll put my bundle in my pocket, and because it's medicine. It is. Yeah. It's very powerful. So I'll pass stuff like that on to people, and then we continue to finish. And by the end of the session, they walk out with their skirt, and it is so fulfilling. So that's another thing that a fella that came to one of our last sessions, he made himself a ribbon shirt that I don't think I could have made any better. And he said after I said, he texted me and he goes, "I just wanted you to know," he still lived at home because he's a young student, "that I went up and I pulled my old sewing machine out. And I've had friends ask if I'll make them ribbon shirts, and I will." Nice. And I'm like, yes.
That's awesome.
That's the goal of this, to teach people whether or not they do it. And some have said, "Oh, that was so stressful, I won't do it again." I said, "Yeah, but you know who to purchase a skirt from, right?" And at least they've experienced it. And I've had women go, "I'm going to go home, and my daughter and we're going to start making our own skirts." And I'm like,
awesome.
"Yes,
that's empowerment."
That's all that I want. Yeah.
And do you make these bags?
I did. So another thing that at university is many of the units have reached out and they've said, more people are growing tobacco, ceremonial tobacco now. And so they said, would you make some little tobacco pouch bags? Sure. I made those bigger.
Okay.
Those are, you can fit a tobacco bundle, sage bundle. You can fit whatever in there because I wanted to make one a little bit bigger than the tobacco bundle. But yeah, so I've had units reaching out for tobacco pouches, and I made a class set because
you're very innovative.
Thank you. For the Indigenous Student Achievement Program at university, they asked me to come in on one of their last days of the term for lunch and to see if I'd be a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So I just shared more or less what I shared, but then I made each student their own medicine bag.
Oh.
And and I've had more people.
The value you bring is amazing.
It is.
It's very inspiring.
Yes, thank you. And it's a bit addictive. I'm like, what can I make next? So my girlfriend Amanda and I, we will be vendors at different events every now and again. And like the last one we went to, she makes leather belts and skirts and stuff like that. And we were at the Whitecap, Dakota Indigenous Market, which will be back there again in June.
Yeah, I think we need more pop-up markets.
Yeah, we do need more pop-up markets. Yeah.
Especially in the little towns, too.
Yes, because I see people, like there's businesses online, and you can even buy ribbon skirts on Amazon, and it's like, no, people.
No.
You have to make sure you're buying it from an Indigenous artisan, not some business.
Of the locals, they also hold these events where they teach people how to make certain items. But what I think should be happening is each local should also hold a day where they get every artisan in to just sell.
Yes.
To the rest of the community. Right?
Yes. Agreed. 100%. Support our people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And that's so exciting. It really is. Like when you look what's happening in Indigenous fashion, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I wish I was younger.
You could still do that.
You
could.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah.
You are very beautiful. I'll tell you that. I hope your husband isn't jealous.
So that's what we do, and I also make scarves. I make tote bags. I make items that are ally friendly. Because not everybody feels comfortable wearing the skirt, especially if they're non-Indigenous, but they want to be able to support, or male, right? But so those are really popular. The scarves and the tote bags, blankets. Yeah, so that's what we sell then at our when we're vendors.
Nice.
That's
so awesome.
I know. And besides that, that's about it. I'm gonna continue on with this because I'm hooked now. I'm going to, this will be the next phase of my life because I figure it's something I can do till I'm an old lady.
Oh yeah.
Hunched over my machine.
Also, the more of the teaching other people to do it too, right? It doesn't always have to be you as long as you're teaching the right people, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I even had one client who's bought, countless skirts and 2 shirts. She's from, she's based out of Wisconsin. She says, so my husband is one of the elders of our community. We would love it if you would come and spend a weekend and give a workshop here. And we would pay you and this and that. And I'm like,
that's amazing.
So maybe not doing the actual sewing, but being the consultant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boom. Love that.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm
super smart.
Thinking, what can I do that's
very
well, and it fits because you teach, so now you can teach the next generation.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh wow, man, this is probably we haven't had to look at our questions at all. I swear you've been hitting
you've hit all of them.
You really are a great teacher.
Thank you. Thank
Probably
you.
The best interview we've done.
Thank you. Oh,
I'm not
thank
putting anybody
you.
else's down.
No,
You're all lovely.
Everybody's a winner.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming. Is there anything else you wanted to say to the people?
What I would like to say is keeping proud for people who are Indigenous. Keep researching, learn about the history of this place, vote, and learn about the policies that have impacted and continue to impact us, and get involved. Let's be the resistors, and let's make this change happen. I'm old, so I'm just the one giving advice. It's the young people like you guys and your children.
Yeah.
You are the ones that are going to move forward and make it happen. I'm just the one going, okay, everybody listen. Just move things out of the way. You are going to be the change makers.
That's only possible because of the foundation all the previous generation has laid down, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's everybody's in that together. That's amazing.
For sure. And whatever they go through, whether it's a trade, whether it's being a business owner, I highly encourage people continue to go through school. Never stop. We need more people with their masters and PhDs. We need people who are decision makers, who have a seat at that decision-making table. And so whether you go through your Master's of Public Policy or PhD at Johnson Shoyama, or whatever field, yes, whatever field, get that education. It just, everybody, it is power. I always say you don't need those letters behind your name, but it helps to create those opportunities. It gives you those legs to stand on. Both my children are doctors, and just I promote education. Just never stop.
I love that.
So
yes, thank you, Marilyn Black, for coming.
Thank you.
It was so lovely having you here.
Thank you. Oh, this was fun.
You did so good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Glad I had my nap.
Well, this has been the Global Falcons podcast, and thanks for coming.
Thank you.